Wow, that is a jam-packed Apple event. First, let's talk about the new Apple Watch Series 8, which is sporting a larger display with even more sensors and connectivity. The OLED screen has a peak brightness of 1200 nits, which is incredible. A temperature sensor was added, and it was supposed to help with menstrual cycle tracking, but I don't think it will impact the data as much as Apple says, and it will just be there taking your temperature every 5 seconds, worsening the battery life of something that already has bad battery life. One important thing is that they have crash detection. If you get into a car crash, Apple Watch will give you the option to call 911. The new sensor package includes a 3-axis gyroscope and a 256-gram accelerometer with 3000 Hz cooling rate. We'll also use the reading from the GPS, the microphone, and the barometer. The alleged claims of having an 18-hour battery life don't sound legit, as Evan's Apple Watch Series 3 can barely stumble through a day of use on a full charge, and the Series 6 can stumble through a day with about 15% of battery life, just enough to sleep, and then it's dead. And they both have the same advertised battery life. The fix for this is low power mode, which is alleged 36 hours of battery life, something that should have been added years ago. The watch also comes in 4 colors, 3 of them which are basically the same as the last year, except red, with 3 stainless steel finishes, which are literally just a chrome painted chassis, and it's $499 for the cellular version. Might as well get an iPhone for that price, an iPhone SE. Or you can pay $399 for the Apple Watch without cellular. The Apple Watch SE also has a new manufacturing process and some new features, including the aforementioned crash detection. And that new manufacturing process is supposed to be 80% more carbon efficient. Highly doubt the data though, because Apple is not hesitant to greenwash as long as it benefits them. Apple also released another watch that was supposed to be tougher, called the Apple Watch Ultra. It is basically the watch for you hiking professionals, skiing professionals, and definitely not your everyday Joe. It's not tougher necessarily, it's just more expensive. It's slightly better, but it's not worth it. It has an alleged 36-hour battery life, a larger screen at 49 millimeters, and a new GPS for only $17.99. I tried $5.99. I know you can, Apple, but still, that's exorbitant. Unless if you're a Tour de France rider, which aforementioned, get it. If you're a professional sports player, get it. If you're not a professional sports player, don't get it. It will not turn you into a professional one. Next up, we have the AirPods. They started off with AirPods are the best headphones in the world. Not really. We have a review of some better ones. Click here. And we're going to review some new ones. Click there. Actually, click in the same spot. There's also an H2 chip now, increasing the amount of features you don't need. Something is actually worth remembering is that Apple rolled out a new extra small ear tip for the Zephs out there. The new upgraded battery runs for 6 hours. Okay, not great. At least you can charge it in your AirPod case, so it'll last longer in there. And it also has a lanyard loop on the side of the case, just like the old point and shoots in the new digital cameras. For $250! Gotta be kidding me, Apple. For that price, I might as well just buy a whole car. And I could get Sennheiser IEMs for that price, or an Apple Watch SE! Seriously, see you on. In iPhone land, they made an unnecessarily large product larger. Just get the 14-inch Tab S8 Ultra at that point. It has better thermals for those sweet mobile games like playing Genshin Impact, which just doesn't have as fast a processor. You've also heard me say this long enough, and yes, I'll say it. Even more alleged battery life. The A15 Bionic. Wait, A15 Bionic? Let me check my watch first. Yo, that's the same processor either! My team! What's the point of upgrading now? Plus, they increase the camera with a larger f1.5 aperture, and that will actually increase low light performance, which is actually important, unlike what Evan thinks. But still, it's not going to be a DSLR camera. Just get a camera. If you want a camera, get a camera. Like a Rebel T6. Or actually a Sony ZV-10. Apple also claims that it's way better. Apple's claims of way better low light sound mathematical, considering that the higher that the lower f-stop value, the bigger the aperture is, so basically how much light it lets in, and the more light, the more low light performance, which is incredible. I still haven't seen them implement Samsung's technology of switching the aperture, which is, I don't know, why haven't they done that? But still, hey, at least they're good. In low light, Apple also bragged about better video recording ProRes, but there's nothing that's gonna do if it can't get off of the phone, because you're still using Lightning on USB 2. At least eSIM is now released, and it's basically having a SIM card embedded. Bye-bye speed upgrades. Actually, and it's basically an embedded SIM card. But so it prevents your SIM card from getting removed by a thief unless they can unlock your phone, which it probably can't unless you give them the password, in which case I don't think they're the thief, you're bad. And the thing is that these eSIMs also have a problem, because what happens if your phone carrier doesn't have an eSIM? Well, you're in good hands, because you get to change your carrier. They also offer crash detection, like on the Apple Watches if you're a bit poor, and with the same sensor packages and upgrades. Now there's also an emergency SOS via satellite. They could have named it something better. Seriously? Crash detection and emergency SOS via satellite? They could have thought of something concise like ISOS? There is also new compression for satellite text messages. It comes free for 2 years, available in November. They'll let you have emergency services until it isn't profitable for them. Or they'll let you have emergency services forever. I'm not sure which. Apple also claimed they didn't put planned obsolescence into their products and greenwashing in the remainder of the iPhone presentation for the regular iPhones. But next we have the iPhone Pro, which have ditched the notch with a cutout that protrudes further down the display, like a notch. Except the thing is that it's closer to a hole punch, and plus you still get Face ID, like Apple loves to do. They innovate backwards. Next up is Lightning 2.0 with USB 1.0. Just kidding. Another thing announced is Dynamic Island, which uses that hole punch to look better than ever. And the aforementioned cutout larger with doing things like Face ID and recording, and makes it look like that cutout doesn't exist. Again, the old ones are just fine. Innovating backwards, I say. Well, they are fine. They are still fine. The new display is as good as the Pro Display XDR can push up to 2,000 nits! My retinas! My studio lights can't even do that! This is gonna make a lot of people super happy when they're trying to look at the sun, although they might burn their retinas. And also, you're gonna lose a lot of battery life. Plus, we finally have the A16 Bionic! Thank you for the new processor with a 4nm process. And for the best Genshin Impact players. The new camera is 48 megapixels with an aperture of f1.78. What is it with the decibels today? But the problem is that f1.78, as much as you think on a full-frame camera that will give you plenty of bokeh, which it will, with these tiny sensors, it won't give you no bokeh swat. All you're gonna do is just turn on portrait mode, and for that, just use Photoshop. The camera is 48 megapixels, although you can choose 48 megapixel mode, or you can choose pixel bin mode. Pixel binning is when you're treating 4 pixels in this case as 1. So that 48 megapixels, you act as if they're 12 megapixels, with those 4 pixels turning into 1 pixel. So that in low light performance, they do better. Although 12 megapixels is usually good in most situations, unless if you aren't doing a ton of cropping. And then again, you also don't need 48 megapixels, because at some point you don't need that much resolution. No. They also use the 48 telephoto camera to have equivalent quality to 2x telephoto. They also have ProRes, which is a ProRes RAW, which, thank you! Because now I can edit my exposure without it turning into a jumbled piece of garbage, and I can actually edit my stuff. The ultra-wide camera was redone with a 12 megapixel sensor and f2.2 aperture. The flash was also renovated to make it 2 times flashier. Then Apple said the only camera to shoot in ProRes on a phone. Well, cameras can actually shoot in ProRes, not mine, but some can, and for $1,000, this is pretty good, depending on your use case. Of course, you aren't expecting studio quality photos, and interchangeable lenses are only good for people who want interchangeable lenses. And monitors are a bit unnecessary. You can also still add an external mic to the iPhone. Speaking of things, why don't you try commenting what you think about this down below, and we'll see you on Monday with our further thoughts. Have a great day, have a great week. I'm Zeph, this is Josie Tech. Goodbye.
1, 2,